Hey guys, John B here with Mystery Tackle Box. I'm excited to hang out with you guys today. It's spring here in... Hey, can you just... I'm trying to do a video for MTB. Can you just sip it? Say, come here. What, you wanna join? Come on, get in here. Lucky the salty dachshund and myself are gonna get out in the water today because it is spring in Texas, and spring in Texas means big bass. But before we get in the water today, I want to share with you guys what I got in this month's MTB Pro Box. And I want to pick out one lure in which I think I would probably use the most throughout this March, April, spring bass fishing season, and what I feel is like most important out of this box. Everything in the box is, in my opinion, pretty rock solid, especially this month. But I really want to choose like one lure and tell you guys why and how I would specifically fish with it. So let's begin. All right, let's just start off with the elephant in the box. This lure right here, this thing is incredible. Never before have I ever seen Mystery Tackle Box put a bait like this in their box, and I'm glad they did. This deal right here is a big paddle tail pre-rigged swim bait by Wesson called the Hypo Tease. Kind of an interesting name. It's a fairly large swim bait meant for anyone up north or down south. The cool thing is this isn't like an extremely large West Coast style swim bait. So in my opinion, everyone nationwide can really use this bait, especially in the spring season. This would be a very key player for that spawn and post spawn season when those fish are looking for a big old snack. I like it. Good swim bait, done. What's next? Next, we've got the Smart Baits Brute. This is kind of an interesting deal. They've put this bait in a lot of their past boxes, and it is quite possibly the wildest bait I've ever seen in my entire life. This bait right here changes color depending on what the water temperature is. If you're fishing cold water, it'll be one color. If you're fishing hot water, it'll be another color. The 4 colors of this bait specifically I have in my hands will change is from June bug to smoke and blood red to chartreuse. Unreal. So you have 4 colors in one soft plastic bait. Interesting concept, very unique. Never heard of it before. Next, another soft plastic, Rage Tail Rage Lizard. This is a mean beast for that pre-spawn spawn action. If you're fishing on beds, if you're trying to imitate some sort of bed intruder, and you've got a big old fat and sassy female locked on a little bed, this is the bait that you want to throw. Texas rig style, Carolina rig style. Texas rig for the spawn, Carolina rigged for the post spawn. This is going to be an all-around amazing springtime lure. If you aren't fishing lizards this time of year, then you really need to get on that. Great opportunity to do so in your MTB Pro Box. Onwards. We got these two guys right here which go hand in hand, so I'm going to talk about them at the same time. In my right hand, I've got a Catch-Co flipping jig. In my left, I've got Big O's brush bands. When you combine the two, you get the ultimate brush fishing machine. This little thing is like a turbocharger for your jig. It reduces snags and increases hookup ratios. It's a unique little system that I've never seen before until this month's MTB Pro Box. Apply the band just like so, and you are set and ready to fish the swaggiest and the gnarliest brush of all time. To go along with that flipping jig combo or fish alone on a Texas rig, you've got the saw craw. This is, again, another staple for spring fishing. In my opinion, this is a year-round lure, but really it seems to excel this time of year when fish are on beds or moving up on shallow flats, and when you need to get in to some of that grass or some of those areas where these fish are basically bedding up in really tight, hard to reach spots. So this little craw is really going to excel. It's got a lot of action. It's slender, so you can penetrate through grass, brush, get under docks. It just seems like a really great craw. I haven't used it yet, but I can tell it's definitely going to catch some fish. And if you decide to Texas rig with the saw craw, you've got little pegs that come in this month's box too. Lastly but not least, we've got a very strange and interesting little wake bait. This is the Runt. Another bait by Catch-Co. I've never seen anything like this. Hey, what? You're chewing my rod, really? This bait, in my opinion, is gonna be really super good when those fish are gonna move off beds and they're looking up and they start getting really aggressive. Generally, one of the best post-spawn baits anywhere that you can throw is some sort of wake bait or topwater. It's a really fun way to catch them, and this little bait is just exactly what these fish are looking for when they're done doing their spawn deal and they're moving off the bed, and you just gotta catch them from shallow to deep water. This is really what I would suggest throwing. Any sort of topwater or Waco bait or something that just has a lot of action and gets them riled up. Again, a bait that I've yet to try, but I'm really excited to use in a few short months here when that post-spawn deal is hot and heavy. Now time for the moment of truth squirt. if I had to choose one bait and one bait only from that box to fish with for the entire spring season, it would probably have to be the Ketchco saw craw. Now, here's my reason why. One of which, I've never used this bait before, so I'm really curious about it and see how it will handle some of these Texas bass. I would say a large sum of the fish that I've caught in my lifetime during the spawn have been on craw bait. Texas rig styled or on the back of the jig, it really doesn't matter. Bass just really seem to hate, or I guess love, craws this time of year. If you get a craw on the bed, it's probably gonna get bit. If you get a craw in an area where you think a fish is about to bed, it's probably gonna get eaten. Just a few days ago, I was out in a muddy water lake in Texas, and we were flipping craws, and they were destroying it. They didn't want anything else. They didn't want the spinnerbait or the chatterbait. It's one of those baits that you can usually rely on this time of year if you can't catch them on anything else. Okay, now let's talk about the rigging and the setup, how I would fish with this craw. I've very briefly gone over why I would fish a lure like this, but now I want to go over how I would fish a bait like the saw craw on a body water, just like so here in Texas and or Illinois or anywhere for that matter. So this is the rig, something that you guys are probably very used to seeing and familiar with. I just do it a little bit differently than I think most people normally would. Let's start from this end and work our way down to the actual bait. The rod is a 7.3 medium heavy action rod with a fast tip. The reason why I like a fast tip is not only to feel my bites, but also to kind of watch them. This time of year, these fish will bite very strangely. Oftentimes, you won't just get smoked. I know a lot of people think when you're flipping craws in the springtime, you're just gonna get boom, like a giant explosion, a really hard hit. But when in fact, you don't even realize you could be pitching on a bed. And that bite could be as subtle as these fish just slowly picking it up and moving it off their bed. And that's a very, very hard bite to detect. So having a rod with a fast tip is very important. I will say though, it is nice to have a faster gear ratio reel, just in case that fish does decide to knock that bait into oblivion and you need to crank up all that line and set the hook. Like the rod, the line is also fairly important. If I'm fishing muddy water, I like 55 or 60 pound braid, mainly because I don't really think these fish care too much about what they're seeing in front of them, and they're more or less just looking at the craw and not looking around. If I'm fishing clear water, I like using 20 to 17 pound fluorocarbon. Both lines have little stretch, so you're gonna be able to get a good hook set in that fish's jaw. Now let's talk about the actual bait and the rigging. To begin with, we've got that little bobber stop on there that we got in this month's box, and just below that bobber stop, we've got a 3/8 ounce tungsten weight. I like tungsten because it's more compact. It really doesn't matter what you use as long as that bait is getting down there. 3/8 ounce is good, 1/4 ounce is good. If I'm fishing anywhere from 4 to 8 feet, I like to use 3/8 ounce. If I'm fishing anywhere from like 0 to 4 feet, I like using 1/8 ounce or even like a 1/4 ounce, something like that. Something lighter with a slower rate of fall. That's just my personal preference. We've got bobber stop, weight, and then under that we've got big old meaty flipping hook. I like a flipping hook because I find that when you're using heavier rods with braid, hooks just tend to bend. So I'm not gonna really worry too much about that hook bending. Also, I get pretty good hookup ratios with a hook design like that. The flipping hook seems to pin those fish a little bit better. I don't miss as many bites as I would with an EWG or a worm hook. Then of course we've got the craw, which is Texas rigged on there like so. And while this bait is super effective and it's gonna catch a lot of fish, it also is very weedless too. So it's a great way to get in the brush, like literally inside the brush to catch those fish. You know, you're not having to pitch around the brush on the outskirts. Like you can get right to the root system and pull up a big old monster. Also, in next month's Mystery Tackle Box, I'll be giving away my dog because she just barks when I like to film. You're too ornery, seriously. I love you, Deck, you're cute, but come on now. That's gonna do it for today. Thank you guys. I hope these tips genuinely help you. Be sure to use the baits in this month's box. Even if there's baits that you're not familiar with or some lures that you may not think you like, tie it on, you might surprise yourself. There's been a lot of baits in the past that I've gotten from MTB that I now use and I can call my favorites. If you yourself want to sign up for Mystery Tackle Box, be sure to check the link in the description below and get $10 off your first box. That's pretty sick. If you guys want to see more of these videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and check out some of the other videos on the MTB channel. I'm signing out. I'm gonna see if I can catch some fish out on that water. Lucky, could you please shut up? Thank you so much. I have a broken dog. I'm gonna hit the water now. Thank you for joining me. As always, guys, keep MTBing, never stop.